Hey there everybody, it's Campo. Welcome back to my channel, and we finally made it. The war season has come to a close. This is going to be footage from the 12th war. We went up against X5A again, 3 realms. They were actually a matchup earlier in the season, and we did win, so we were hoping to pull out another victory. At this point, Platinum 1 is pretty much locked and loaded, so we're just kind of looking to increase our rating. And I've got a bunch of ghost fights for you, so I'm starting on Hazard Shift. The only thing I worry about with these champions that have double mediums is getting my first opening. So I like to parry her first just to kind of get a more traditional opening. But then at this point, the fight's over. Just took one special one. The reason I even needed the tech boosts at all is for the third fight on this path. But yeah, this was kind of the way my war was in war number 10, a lot of ghost fights, and you're going to kind of see that again. I mean, she's just so overpowered. It's kind of ridiculous, especially on Hazard Shift, where she can just convert those debuffs into passive furies. So we've got this Apocalypse. He's going to be getting to his special 1 a little bit faster. He's got Resistor, but critical hits don't really matter for Resistor. And once again, 1 special 2 is going to do it. I've got plenty of boosts on, so no issues at all. And then finally, the third fight on section 1 is going to be Sasquatch. And, you know, on paper, Ghost versus Sasquatch, you know, it's not really like, you know, a typical matchup for an annoying Sasquatch. But, you know, the truth of the matter is Ghost can counter Hazard Shift, and there's really nothing else going on with this fight. The question is just, is the 1 special 2 going to beat him down, or am I going to have to cycle them? And so far I'm not getting any incinerates on me. I only have 1. I do a little combo hoping I can get a couple more on me, but I don't. So that took him down to 37, and then this one is going to completely bypass his regen phase and just get him down. So that was the end of that. And yeah, this just in the plan, it was kind of like, well, you know, we could send Void, we could send Colossus, we could send Rolk, but it was like, why not just Ghost it? And I can use Ghost in section 2 as well. So yeah, nothing to it there. I just moved up to that Dr. Doom, but this is actually the first time that I've taken path 6 in section 2. And this first one has Rage, and I've heard some horror stories about using Archangel here. Just things can go wrong is what I was told. And if we were going to do that, we were going to bring a 5-star Archangel. So I talked this over with some alliance mates, and we kind of used our collective wisdom to send G99. And the story with this fight is kind of the opposite of Ghost, because it's just going to be a slow beatdown and just, you know, perfect evades, perfect parries, and we should be good. I'm just making sure I don't get backed up, so I don't mind doing full combos. He throws a heavy there. I'm trying to get him to throw his special 1 because that's the one that I'm comfortable evading. And in general, I feel like I faced a lot of hit monkeys in incursions over the years, and that's kind of where I really learned the timing on the special 1. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's really not that bad. It's a pretty dependable evade for me. So the goal here is to not be triggering Rage, which means that I don't want to be doing anything except for my basic hits. And I think until my combo gets like well over 100 hits, I'm not going to be worrying about Rage. So as long as I don't accidentally throw a special or a heavy attack or something like that, I should be good. Those degenerations are doing some work. And the fight's probably about half over at now, so I'm looking at what his HP is and the way I'm ramping up, and I'm like, all right, I should be able to get this down in maybe like 70 or 80 hits. Being a little pesky with that special 1. You know, Hitmonkey is definitely one of those characters that when there are dex and parry input issues, he's a little scary to fight, especially in this fight because I'm not like nuking him down. I'm like actually really slow playing him. And, you know, after doing all those ghost fights, it's sort of like in my head, I was like, okay, I actually have to really engage the opponent and fight an alliance war unlike the other fights. So once again, a special 1 evade. The fight's only been going on for just shy of 2 minutes, and it looks like the end is in sight. I could probably have just finished him there, but I decided not to. There was a dex where he hit my block, but it wasn't the end of the world. And of course, if I needed to use G99 a little bit later, I would have thrown the special 3, but there was really no reason to, because she wasn't going to be utilized for the rest of the war. But yeah, that was a great fight. Just super safe if you're comfortable with the special 1. And now we're going to go back to Ghost. As I've said before, I do like to bring Wasp just for the added comfort of making sure that those specials connect, especially if we're using the boost. It's really nice to have the unblockable special too. So on that last fight, I only had the health boost, but now we're going to add the advanced power boost in addition to all the usual ghost boosts. I think I only had a 20% champ boost on this one. And yeah, the only thing I'm worried about here is that her special attacks, I don't know if it's because they're considered psychic attacks or what it is, but you actually need to evade them manually. So I'm trying to build power just any way that I can, basically. I know she's going to throw a special, so I don't worry about phasing it. I actually block the first part and then dex the second part. I may have to do that again. Just for safety, I block the first part. I didn't feel very comfortable about punishing that special, but then just a couple more crits and she goes down. So yeah, the only thing that would halt Ghost there is if you were trying to phase her specials, they will connect and you will not miss. But fortunately, I was prepared for that. Didn't lead to too much of a problem. And the final fight is going to be Stealthy. It was just, once again, like I had Ghost. It seemed like the best option here because she gets the free intercepts for ebb and flow intercept. And she also can deal with evade if you only do 1 medium after you phase. And he's another one of those double medium champs. So I'm always a little worried at the beginning. I just let him hit me a couple times into the miss so that I can build a little bit of power. I kind of forgot about Mighty Charge and stuff, so my parries aren't landing. I'm not really trying to re-parry. I did get an armor break on me there. I did completely miss him because of that evade right there. But as soon as you make contact again, the armor break goes away. And at that point, we get the first special off. And it actually gave me like a ton of power back. That one I just kind of threw into the air. The last part connected. And at this point, I think it's pretty straightforward. Just one more special 2 and it goes down. So that one wasn't like how I telegraphed it in my head. It wasn't exactly the smoothest fight in the world. But Ghost is Ghost, and she's going to take care of business. So to me, it was kind of funny that I was the Ghost player in my BG because I don't look at myself as someone who utilizes Ghost that often. But after, I don't know what it was, after one big piece of content fell, or maybe it was like around July 4th, I just decided to go all in on Ghost and give her a generic awakening gem and all the segs and everything. So I definitely had her in a position where I could use her, and all was good. So that's going to wrap up the last war. What I do want to do is just give a quick shout out to all the members of BG3. We had such a great season. Our worst war, I think, was like 5 deaths as a BG, which was way above average. We had one perfect war with a 165, no deaths, and we had many wars that only had 1 death. We definitely had, like, our most common score was 164, and it wasn't always the same person dying. It was just, maybe it would be someone on the boss, maybe there'd be like a mojo boss, or like something just went wrong in a weird place. One of the wars that I died to CGR very early on, in that like really weird death that I had, that was the only death, and we had a 164, so it definitely spread around. But yeah, first off, Tafre, thank you so much, dude. It's so nice to see you again and to play this crazy video game with you. We were in an alliance together where he was the leader back in 2018. That alliance was called UNCH, and Tafre is just an absolute beast. Basically, anytime there was an Archangel fight that wasn't your run-of-the-mill fight, where it was like, oh, you actually need to do more than just parry heavy, like, Jabari or Mr. Negative, or like Domino on Spite and stuff, we're like, just send Tafre, he'll get it done. And that was sort of the way he did it. He did some really difficult torch fights as well and stuff with Apocalypse. It was pretty awesome. I want to shout out to my buddy Caesar. Caesar was the first officer who let me into a map 7 group a little bit over a year ago, and I do think that where I am today is because they gave me a chance back then. And he's just a great friend, really good player, really smart player. He's been in an officer most of his career, so he definitely has the brain for this. And he's also my incursions buddy. So Caesar, thanks for an awesome season. You took some really tough fights with Archangel as well, and your 5-star Apocalypse, because we made you take your Apocalypse on defense. Big shout out to Smyo, who's also one of my really, really close friends. I was super happy that he was able to join SSx at the same time that I did. And he is just one of those guys, you ask him to do something and he's just going to do it without complaining, without asking any questions. He'll do everything that he can to win the fight. He'll boost up, he'll change his masteries, he'll pick the perfect champ. And he took some crazy mini boss fights for us this season. And just like excellent gameplay. And also we just are always like talking on the side. It's really fun to have a really close friend in the game. And yeah, man, just really pumped that you're in this alliance, and awesome job this season. Big shout out, of course, to DLL. He is no stranger to the YouTube world. He has an awesome channel that I'm going to link below, as well as Top Race channel, by the way. But DLL is the lead planner, and he just has a great brain for this game. I really like how he's able to solve the puzzle of the map and send some not conventional counters. Like we would, obviously Reed Richards and Killmonger are some of his favorite champs who counter some stuff on the war map, but we were sending like Silver Centurion. I played with Mysterio one time, obviously Elsa Bloodstone for me all the time. Diablo was taking bosses, and there was even an appearance of Venom Pool on his team in this last war. And it's just kind of like the idea that these champions have ways of countering the nodes in a safe way, and setting it up that way is just excellent. And on top of that, he's just a really good player, really good at reacting in real time and figuring out the best way to tackle a matchup. One of the best Torch players I've ever seen too. You think of Torch as just like a guy you go in with and they melt, but there's often a lot of nuance to playing Torch. And some of those really tough Torch fights, he does just exceptionally well, utilizes the Reed pre-fights and all that. So can't say enough good things about DLL, about how good of a teammate and a friend he's been. And definitely check out his channel. I want to give out a shout out to Strands, longtime member, I believe, or at least a close friend of everybody here. Really good Doom player. He's the one that used Silver Centurion. He was always the guy to take the annoying Terrax bosses with his cable. And he had some really cool Diablo fights as well. So just another example of a guy who's willing to do anything for the team. Big shout out to JTQ. Probably the best Dr. Doom player I've ever seen, and I'm not sugarcoating that. Like, he would take some really difficult Doom fights. In the last war, he had a flawless Sorcerer Supreme solo on Aspect of Evolution. We just couldn't get a magic up there. I've seen him take some annoying Killmongers and Vision Arcus on Node 23. Just like not your run-of-the-mill Doom fights. Loves using Doom, and he doesn't die with Doom. I think he even had a deathless season. And yeah, that was pretty awesome. Big shout out to Q. He's one of our Void players. He basically was on Bishop duty for the entire season. I think you know what I mean. There were a lot of annoying bishops on the mini boss island, and he pretty flawlessly took care of them with his Void. Also has a Colossus, which we utilized a little bit more than I thought we would, which was kind of cool to see a rank 3 Colossus in play. And then we've got Taint, who is the other officer with me in DLL. And Taint is just like your steady war member who is just going to always do his job. Another really good Doom player, and he had some amazing Mr. Negative gameplay this season. His only death was to a Mojo boss, which he died at like 5% health left, and it was super close. And the only reason we sent him was we were kind of winning the war, and we were like, hey, this might be fun to try out. And on his first time ever doing it, he basically got the solo. He just got a little screwed on the RNG with some really bad prompts back to back. But other than that, he was just like an absolute champ for us, taking all these crazy fights with different counters and just being really dependable on the officer and planner side as well. And then we've also got Aaron, who is a new member of the group. Myself and my 3 friends that I mentioned at the beginning, we were all new to BG3, but also Anaz is his in-game name. He was new to the Alliance as well, which is totally crazy that this BG was comprised of 5 people that weren't in the BG the season before, and we still performed so well. But he was also really good with Torch, really good with Doom, really good with Warlock. And I just remember, like, we sent him on some fights that were a little sketch, and he always came out the other end doing really well. He either had like a 1-death season, or like there was like a forced close situation or something, but he had a really, really clean season. And, you know, I think this was, along with some of us, his first sort of like tier 1 experience, and you definitely wouldn't have known because he just played so well. But anyway, just super shout out to all of them, and to our leader RobHopp, who also has a really fun channel. I would check it out. His talk back is actually some of the most entertaining war videos on YouTube, and I'm gonna just link that as well in the description. But yeah, coming up in the future, we're gonna do like a rewards opening. I'm gonna do a summary of the season, and I'm trying to see if I can get some clips from some of the other members of the Alliance to do a little bit of a talk back on some of the other interesting things that happened this season on other players' accounts in BG3. And hopefully that will all be coming out in the next few weeks. And again, thank you so much for just being a great support and for watching these war videos for the whole season. I can't believe we did all 12. First time I've done every single war with talkback, and it was a blast. It was really fun to analyze it, to look at what I did to improve, and to hopefully go into next season feeling even better. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one.